6 months had passed since the broadcast that changed everything. President Choi Min-ho stood before the largest gathering in human history. Every screen on Earth showed his face. Every radio carried his voice. In underground bunkers and hidden bases, the last 4 billion humans waited to hear their leader speak. "My fellow humans," Min-ho began, his voice steady despite the weight of his words. "6 months ago, we learned that we are not alone in the universe. We also learned that the universe wants us dead." The silence that followed was deeper than space itself. Everyone remembered that terrible day when the screens had shown human colonies burning. 10 billion people dead in minutes. Mothers, fathers, children all gone because aliens decided humanity was too dangerous to live. "The Galactic Federation thinks they have won," Min-ho continued. "They believe humanity is finished. They are wrong." Behind him, a holographic display showed Earth as it was now. No longer the blue and green world of peaceful exploration. It had become something darker. Massive factories covered entire continents. Underground cities housed millions of workers building weapons the galaxy had never seen. The oceans themselves had been turned into construction yards where new warships took shape. "Today I announce Operation Alien Annihilation. We will not rest until every being that participated in our genocide is dead. We will not stop until the galaxy burns." In the audience, General Park Hyun-sik nodded with grim satisfaction. For 6 months, he had overseen the greatest military mobilization in human history. Every able-bodied person on Earth now served the war effort in some way. There were no civilians anymore, only soldiers and support personnel. The transformation had begun within hours of Admiral Kim Tae-ho's final message. The Global Defense Council had taken control of all Earth's resources. Democratic governments stepped aside without argument. Everyone understood that normal politics was a luxury humanity could no longer afford. Dr. Yoon Da-yoon sat in her laboratory deep beneath the Himalayas, surrounded by alien technology salvaged from the destroyed diplomatic mission. She had lost her husband and 2 children on Mars. The pain of their death had been transformed into something pure and cold. The desire for perfect revenge. "Show me the Federation's weakness," she whispered to herself as she worked. Around her, hundreds of other scientists toiled day and night, reverse engineering alien systems and improving them with human innovation. The aliens had made a critical mistake. They thought like civilized beings, bound by rules and ethics that had kept the galaxy peaceful for thousands of years. Humans thought like survivors. Every weapon they built was designed to cause maximum damage with minimum warning. Every system they created was meant to exploit alien assumptions about fair play and honorable conduct. Commander Nam Ji-hai walked through the asteroid belt construction yards, inspecting humanity's new fleet. The ships taking shape around her looked nothing like the peaceful exploration vessels Earth had once built. These were weapons of war, black and angular, designed to strike from the shadows and disappear before retaliation could arrive. "How many do we have ready?" she asked her aide, Lieutenant Seo Dong-min. 47 combat vessels, ma'am. The first wave will launch next month." "And the crews?" "Volunteers only, as ordered. We have more applicants than ships." That didn't surprise Ji-hai. Every human who had survived the genocide wanted revenge. The waiting lists for combat assignments were months long. People fought for the chance to die killing aliens. The ships themselves were marvels of human engineering combined with stolen alien technology. Quantum stealth systems made them invisible to Federation sensors. AI viruses turned alien computers against their users. Kinetic weapons accelerated asteroids to near light speed, turning space rocks into planet killers. But the most important weapon was human psychology. The Federation had never fought a species that treated war as an art form. For 10,000 years, galactic conflicts had been settled through negotiation and limited engagements. The aliens had no concept of total war, no understanding of what humans could become when everything they loved was taken away. Intelligence officer Seo Dong-min had spent months analyzing Federation communications intercepted by hidden human listening posts. What he found confirmed their greatest hope. The aliens thought humanity was extinct. "They're not even watching for us," he reported to the High Command. "Federation security has returned to normal levels. They think the threat is over." General Park Hyun-sik smiled for the first time since the genocide. "Perfect. Let them think we're gone. It will make the surprise even better." The first strike would target Federation communication relays scattered throughout their territory. Once those were destroyed, the aliens would be blind and deaf, unable to coordinate their defenses or call for help. Then the real killing would begin. Dr. Song-Hae Young worked in a different kind of laboratory, one that would have horrified the peaceful aliens of the Federation. Here, captured alien biology was studied not for scientific knowledge, but for ways to cause suffering. Every Federation species had weaknesses, toxins that could poison their air, diseases that could destroy their immune systems, psychological warfare techniques that could drive them insane. The crystal beings are vulnerable to specific sound frequencies, she reported to her team. We can build weapons that will shatter them like glass. What about the aquatic species from Kepler 442? Electromagnetic pulse weapons will disrupt their nervous systems. They'll die in agony, unable to control their own bodies. The work was dark but necessary. The Federation had shown no mercy to human children. They would receive none in return. In the deepest bunkers of Earth, philosophers and historians debated what humanity was becoming. Some argued that the quest for revenge was changing them into the monsters the aliens claimed they were. Others insisted that survival required embracing the darkness within. President Min-ho ended the debate with a single statement. We can worry about our souls after we've finished burying our enemies. The launch of the first wave was scheduled for the anniversary of the genocide. 47 ships would slip out of the solar system using routes that avoided all known Federation patrol areas. Their crews had trained for months in combat simulators, learning to think like predators rather than explorers. Captain Kang Soo-jin would command the lead ship, a stealth destroyer called Retribution. Her orders were simple: find Federation targets and destroy them. Leave no survivors, take no prisoners, show no mercy. Remember, General Park told the departing crews, you are not just representing Earth. You are the voices of 10 billion dead. Make them proud. The night before launch, memorials were held across Earth. Every human settlement had built monuments to the dead, carved with the names of those lost in the genocide. Children too young to understand placed flowers at the base of the monuments, while their parents wept and swore oaths of vengeance. Dr. Yoon Da-eun stood before the memorial in New Geneva, looking at the names of her family carved in black stone. I promise you, she whispered, they will all pay. Every last one of them. Above her, the stars looked down with cold indifference. Soon some of those stars would go dark as human vengeance reached across the galaxy. The Federation had awakened something in humanity that they didn't understand. The ability to turn grief into rage, and rage into unstoppable determination. The aliens had wanted to eliminate the human threat. Instead, they had created something far worse than they could imagine. They had taken a species of dreamers and explorers and forged them into perfect killers. As the first wave of ships powered up their engines, a message was broadcast to every human settlement. The hunt begins now. Earth's children were going to war, and they would not stop until every alien world burned in the fires of human vengeance. The galaxy had killed 10 billion humans on live broadcast, thinking it was ending a threat. They had made the greatest mistake in their history. They had left 4 billion humans alive, and those survivors would never forget, never forgive, and never stop hunting until every last alien was dead. The age of galactic peace was ending. The age of human fury had begun. 2 years after the broadcast, the galaxy was learning to fear the dark. Captain Kang Soo-jin crouched in the shadows of her ship's bridge, watching the Federation supply convoy through her targeting system. 3 massive cargo ships and their escorts moved slowly through space, carrying weapons and food to alien colonies. They had no idea that death was watching them from less than 1,000 meters away. The Retribution was invisible to their sensors, wrapped in quantum stealth fields that bent light and energy around its hull. To the aliens, there was nothing in this empty patch of space except stars and cosmic dust. All ships, this is Ghost Rider 1, Soo-jin whispered into her communicator. Target the escorts first. We need those cargo ships intact. Around her, 5 other stealth destroyers uncloaked their weapons. The aliens were about to learn that humans had turned invisibility into an art form. The attack lasted 30 seconds. Plasma beams reached out from nowhere, cutting through alien shields like they were made of paper. The escort ships exploded in brilliant flashes of light, their crews never knowing what killed them. The cargo ships tried to run, but they were too slow and too heavy. Human boarding pods launched from invisible ships punched through their hulls like bullets through flesh. Commander Oh Sung-ho led the assault team onto the first cargo ship. His power armor made him look like a metal demon from human mythology. Behind him, 20 other soldiers moved through the alien corridors like death itself. The ship's crew were tall, thin beings with blue skin and 4 arms. They had evolved on a peaceful world where the biggest predator was the size of a house cat. They had never seen anything like the armored humans who appeared in their corridors. "Please," one of them begged in broken galactic standard. "We are not soldiers. We are just cargo haulers." Oh Seung-ho's voice came from his armor's speakers, cold and mechanical. "You watched our children burn. You cheered when 10 billion humans died. Now you learn what it feels like." The aliens' death was quick but not painless. None of them were. Within an hour, 3 cargo ships had become floating tombs. Their valuable supplies would never reach their destination. More importantly, their disappearance would spread fear throughout the Federation's shipping lanes. This was the new reality. Human ships appeared from nowhere, struck without warning, and vanished back into the void. No Federation vessel was safe. No alien convoy could travel without fear. Cyber warfare specialist Lee Bo-ram sat in a command center buried deep in an asteroid, surrounded by screens showing Federation communication networks. For 18 months, she had been planting viruses in alien computer systems, waiting for the right moment to activate them. Initiate Phase 7, she commanded her team of hackers. Across Federation space, alien computers began turning against their users. Navigation systems sent ships into stars. Life support systems shut down on space stations. Communication networks started broadcasting human war songs instead of alien messages. The viruses were designed by minds that understood chaos. Unlike the clean, predictable programs the aliens used, human viruses evolved and adapted. They learned from every attempt to remove them, becoming stronger and more destructive. On the Federation world of Kepler 438b, traffic control computers suddenly decided that all incoming ships were enemies. Orbital defense platforms opened fire on civilian transports. Passenger liners exploded in balls of fire as their own defenses turned against them. On Proxima Centauri C, water treatment plants began producing poison instead of clean water. Hospital computers started giving patients lethal drug combinations. Power stations overloaded and exploded, plunging entire cities into darkness. The Federation's greatest strength, their interconnected technology, had become their greatest weakness. Humans had turned their own systems into weapons against them. Chancellor Vexithera stood in the emergency council chamber on Nexus Prime, surrounded by representatives from hundreds of terrified worlds. The crystal being's usual calm confidence had been replaced by something that looked almost like panic. "The attacks are getting worse," reported Admiral Zorkval, a massive insectoid being from the Rigel system. "We've lost over 300 ships in the past month alone. Our people are afraid to travel." "What do we know about these attackers?" demanded Counselor Ythara, a floating gas bag from a high-gravity world. "Nothing concrete," Vexthara admitted. "The ships appear to be human in design, but that's impossible. We destroyed all human colonies. We watched their worlds burn. Maybe some escaped," suggested another counselor. "Impossible. Our intelligence was perfect. Every human settlement was eliminated." But fear was spreading through the Federation like a disease. Shipping companies refused to send convoys through certain sectors. Colonies were demanding military escorts for supply runs. Trade routes that had been safe for thousands of years were now considered too dangerous to travel. Admiral Wu Changmin commanded the human battlecruiser Vengeance, a ship built for one purpose: killing aliens in large numbers. Unlike the stealth destroyers, his vessel was designed to fight the enemy face-to-face when hiding was no longer possible. That moment came at Kepler Station, a massive Federation outpost that controlled shipping through 6 star systems. Intelligence suggested the aliens were gathering a fleet there, preparing to hunt for the ghost ships that had been terrorizing their space lanes. "Sir, we're detecting 57 enemy vessels," reported his tactical officer, Lieutenant Park Min-jae. "They outgun us 20-1. Chang Min smiled grimly. "Good. That means we won't run out of targets too quickly." The Battle of Kepler Station became legend among the human fleet. One battlecruiser against 57 alien warships, fighting with a fury that the peaceful galaxy had never seen. The aliens fought like they always had, with honor, following rules of engagement that had governed galactic warfare for millennia. They warned their enemies before attacking, gave them chances to surrender, and tried to minimize casualties. The humans fought like humans, with cunning, rage, and absolute ruthlessness. They used the station's own defenses against the Federation fleet, turning orbital platforms into weapons. They rammed damaged ships into alien formations. They detonated their own reactors as weapons when conventional ammunition ran out. "This is Admiral Chang Min to all Federation forces," he broadcast on open frequencies. "You killed our children. You celebrated our deaths. Now learn what it means to face humanity unleashed." The Vengeance died in the end, overwhelmed by sheer numbers, but it took 41 alien ships with it. The survivors fled in terror, spreading stories of human savagery that would echo across the galaxy. Field Commander Quan Min-soo led ground assault teams on Federation worlds that had participated in the genocide broadcast. His soldiers moved through alien cities like nightmares made real, striking at military targets and government installations. The aliens had never fought beings like humans. Their own evolution had taken place on worlds where cooperation was more valuable than competition. They had developed impressive technology, but they had never learned to be warriors. Human soldiers, on the other hand, came from a world where violence was part of nature. They understood fear, pain, and death in ways the peaceful aliens never could. They used psychological warfare as effectively as plasma weapons, spreading terror wherever they went. On the world of Tau Ceti Prime, Min-soo's team infiltrated the planetary government complex. They moved through ventilation systems and maintenance tunnels, avoiding the aliens' sophisticated security systems. When they struck, it was with precision that left the enemy leaders dead and their followers paralyzed with fear. "Remember," Min-soo told his soldiers before each mission, "we are not just fighting a war. We are teaching the galaxy never to threaten humanity again." The Ghost Fleet grew larger as more ships slipped away from Earth. Each new vessel brought fresh crews hungry for vengeance. The attacks became bolder, striking at larger targets and inflicting greater losses. Dr. Yoon Da-yoon's laboratories had perfected new weapons designed specifically to exploit alien weaknesses. Sonic weapons that could shatter crystalline beings, electromagnetic pulses that disrupted aquatic nervous systems, viral agents that attacked alien immune systems without affecting humans. "We are becoming what they feared," she told General Park during one of their planning sessions. "We are becoming the monsters they claimed we were." "Good," Park replied. "Monsters are what they deserve." The Federation's attempts to fight back were clumsy and ineffective. They tried to negotiate, offering peace treaties and reparations. The humans ignored them. They tried to build better defenses, but human technology was advancing faster than theirs could adapt. Most importantly, they couldn't find Earth. The humans had hidden their homeworld behind layers of deception and misdirection. Federation scouts searched empty systems while the real Earth continued building its fleet of vengeance. Intelligence Officer Co. Dong-min intercepted a priority transmission from Federation High Command. What he read made him smile for the first time in years. "Sir," he reported to Admiral Chang Min's replacement, "the aliens are planning to use their ultimate weapon, something called the Star Killer. They're going to try to sterilize entire systems to stop us. How long do we have?" The golden age of galactic peace died screaming. Fleet Admiral Jang Mi-kyung stood on the bridge of the massive dreadnought Earth's Wrath, watching as the Federation world of Vega Prime burned below her. The planet had been home to 12 billion aliens just 6 hours ago. Now it was a ball of molten rock and radioactive glass. "Orbital bombardment complete," reported her weapons officer, Commander An Jae-sung. "All major cities destroyed. No life signs detected." "Good," Mi-kyung replied without emotion. "Move to the next target. We have 17 more worlds to cleanse today." This was no longer the desperate guerrilla war of the past 3 years. Earth's hidden shipyards had finally completed their work, sending forth the largest fleet in galactic history. Thousands of warships now spread across Federation space like a plague of metal and fire, systematically destroying every world that had participated in humanity's genocide. The transformation was complete. The humans who had once dreamed of joining a peaceful galactic community had become something far more terrible, the perfect killing machine. Colonel An Jae-sung commanded the orbital bombardment platforms that reduced alien worlds to ash. His weapons could crack continents and boil oceans. He used them without mercy or hesitation. "Sir, we're receiving surrender broadcasts from the surface," reported one of his officers. "They're offering complete capitulation. Did they offer surrender to the children of New Shanghai when they burned them alive? Jae-sung asked coldly. Continue firing until nothing moves down there. The plasma beams reached down from space like the fingers of an angry god. Where they touched, mountains melted and seas turned to steam. Millions of years of evolution and civilization vanished in moments of terrible heat. This was happening on hundreds of worlds simultaneously. The human fleet had divided into hunting packs, each targeting different sectors of Federation space. No alien world was safe. No plea for mercy was heard. Dr. Song Hae-young's laboratories had become factories of death, producing biological weapons tailored to each alien species. Her scientists worked around the clock, finding new ways to cause suffering and terror. The atmospheric processors are ready for deployment on Kepler 4042b, she reported to the fleet command. The entire aquatic population will be dead within 72 hours. What about the crystalline beings on Rigel 7? Sonic resonance weapons are standing by. Their cities will shatter like glass. Each alien species faced extinction in a way specifically designed for their biology. The diversity that had once been the Federation's greatest pride became their doom as humans found unique ways to kill each type of being. The Federation's desperate attempts at negotiation fell on deaf ears. Ambassador Lim Soo-young received their envoys on the captured station of Alpha Centauri, now renamed Vengeance Point by the humans. The alien delegation was led by Counselor Yith-Ara, the floating gas bag from Altair 4. With her came representatives from a dozen other species, all begging for their lives. Please, Yith-Ara pleaded. We can negotiate. We can offer reparations for what was done to your people. Soo-young's voice was cold as space itself. What reparations can bring back 10 billion dead humans? What payment can undo the genocide you broadcast for entertainment? We were wrong, admitted another alien, a mantis-like being from Wolf 359. We let fear guide our actions. We can change. You had your chance to change, Soo-young replied. You chose to watch our children burn instead. Now you face the consequences. But we'll all die, Yith-Ara protested. Entire species will be wiped out. Good, Soo-young said simply. That was always the plan. The negotiations ended with the alien delegates being thrown out of the airlock. Their deaths were broadcast to every surviving Federation world along with a simple message. Unconditional surrender or total annihilation. Choose quickly. Strike Team Leader. Kwon Min-soo led Special Forces units deep into Federation territory, hunting for the leaders who had orchestrated humanity's genocide. His teams moved like death itself through alien cities, leaving no survivors in their wake. On the crystal homeworld of Nexus Prime, Min-soo's commandos infiltrated the deepest vaults where the Federation's archives were stored. Here they found the complete records of the genocide. Every vote, every decision, every alien who had cheered humanity's destruction. Upload everything to the fleet database, Min-soo ordered. I want names, locations, and family connections for every being who participated. The archives revealed the true scope of alien cruelty. Not only had they planned the genocide for years, but they had turned it into entertainment. Betting pools had been established on how long human colonies would last. Children's toys had been made depicting burning human cities. Sir, reported one of his soldiers, we found Chancellor Vexithara's personal quarters. Min-soo smiled behind his helmet's visor. The crystal being who had ordered humanity's death was somewhere in this maze of corridors, probably cowering in some hidden bunker. Find it, he commanded. I have a personal message to deliver. The hunt for Federation leaders had become a galaxy-wide game of hide-and-seek. Human intelligence networks built from captured alien assets tracked down war criminals across hundreds of worlds. One by one, they were dragged from their hiding places to face human justice. Chancellor Vexithara was found in a shielded vault 3 kilometers beneath Nexus Prime's surface, surrounded by the treasures of 1,000 worlds. The crystal being's light was dim with fear when Min-soo's team broke down the vault door. Please, it begged. I was only following the will of the Federation. I didn't want to order the genocide. Min-soo pulled off his helmet, revealing a face marked by 3 years of constant warfare. My daughter was 7 years old when you killed her. She was playing with her toys when your plasma beams turned her into ash. Do you remember her name? I don't know. Her name was Kim So-ra. She wanted to be a doctor when she grew up. She collected pictures of alien flowers because she thought they were beautiful. Min-soo's voice never changed tone, remaining perfectly calm. She died believing that aliens were friends who would welcome humanity to the stars. Vexithara's crystalline body began to crack under the weight of terror. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." "I'm not," Minsu replied, raising his weapon. "I'm exactly what you made me." The death of Chancellor Vexithara was broadcast to every surviving alien world, along with the executions of hundreds of other Federation leaders. The message was clear. There would be no escape, no forgiveness, and no mercy. Planetary Governor Ryu Jisoo oversaw the occupation of conquered worlds, implementing policies that ensured alien survivors understood their new place in the universe. The species that had once ruled the galaxy now lived as slaves in their own cities. "All adult aliens will report for work assignments at dawn," she announced to the survivors of Kepler 438b. "Children will attend re-education centers where they will learn proper respect for human authority." The aliens who had cheered humanity's genocide now watched their own children being taken away to learn human languages and human values. The irony was not lost on the human administrators. "Please," begged one alien parent. "They're just children. They had nothing to do with what happened to your people." "Neither did ours," Jisoo replied coldly. "But you killed them anyway." The new order was harsh but efficient. Alien technology was confiscated and studied. Their resources were claimed for the expanding human empire. Their histories were rewritten to emphasize human superiority and alien barbarity. Museums were built on every conquered world, displaying the horrors of the genocide broadcast. Alien children were required to visit these museums regularly to understand what their species had done and why they deserved their fate. Dr. No Young-ho, the director of Human Colonial Administration, implemented the Never Again protocols across all occupied territories. These laws ensured that no alien species could ever again threaten humanity's existence. "Aliens may live," he explained to his staff, "but only at human sufferance. They will work, they will serve, and they will remember that their lives exist only because we allow it." The surviving Federation fleet made one last desperate attempt to stop the human advance. They gathered their remaining ships at the binary star system of Alpha Centauri, hoping to make a final stand that might buy time for their homeworlds to evacuate. They were met by the full might of humanity's war machine. 10,000 human ships emerged from hyperspace, darkening the stars with their numbers. At their head flew the supercarrier Retribution, a vessel so massive it could have served as a mobile planet. The battle lasted 18 hours and ended with the complete destruction of the Federation's military power. Those few aliens who survived spread throughout the galaxy, carrying stories of human fury that would echo for generations. As news of the victory reached Earth, President Choi Min-ho addressed his people one final time. "My fellow humans," he began, "the war is nearly over. The galaxy that celebrated our deaths now begs for mercy it will never receive. We have proven that humanity cannot be destroyed, only transformed into something more terrible than our enemies ever imagined." Behind him, holographic displays showed human flags flying over 1,000 alien worlds. The species that had once dreamed of exploring the stars in peace now ruled them through conquest and fear. The age of human expansion had begun. Where aliens had once lived, human colonies. 10 years had passed since the broadcast that changed the universe forever. Emperor Kim Min-seok stood on the observation deck of the Imperial Palace, built from the ruins of what had once been Nexus Prime. Through the reinforced glass, he could see the sprawling human city that now covered the former capital of galactic civilization, where alien spires had once reached toward the stars. Human towers now dominated the skyline. At 35, Min-seok was the son of the late Admiral Kim Tae-ho, the man whose final message had sparked humanity's terrible transformation. He had been chosen by the Global Defense Council to rule over the galaxy that had killed his father and 10 billion other humans. "Your Majesty," said Director No Young-ho, approaching with his daily report, "the census from the outer territories is complete. Human population has reached 8 billion across 473 worlds. And the aliens?" Min-seok asked without turning from the window. "Approximately 2 billion survivors across all species. They remain in designated zones under human supervision. 2 billion aliens left from what had once been a population of over 1 trillion. The galaxy that had celebrated humanity's genocide had paid the price for their cruelty. Most alien species existed now only in museums and history files. Down in the city below, alien workers moved through the streets under the watchful eyes of human overseers. They built human buildings, maintained human machines, and served human needs. The proud races that had once ruled the galaxy now lived only because humans allowed it. Supreme Commander Baek Taiyang reviewed the final battle reports from his command center deep within the palace. The last Federation resistance had been crushed 6 months ago when human forces stormed the secret base on Kepler 442b, where alien scientists had been working on a desperate superweapon. The galaxy is completely pacified, he reported to the Emperor. All alien military assets have been destroyed or confiscated. There is no organized resistance remaining. Good, Minseok replied. But maintain the patrols. Fear fades with time, and we must never let them forget what happens when aliens threaten humanity. The human military had evolved far beyond its original purpose. No longer just a force for revenge, it had become the iron fist that kept order across 1,000 worlds. Human soldiers stationed on every inhabited planet ensured that the new order remained unchallenged. Captain Han. Yujin walked through the memorial halls where the artifacts of alien civilization were displayed like trophies. Ancient artworks, technological marvels, and cultural treasures from hundreds of species filled vast chambers. All of it belonged to humanity now, spoils of the greatest war in galactic history. She stopped before a special exhibit, a preserved section of the original Federation Council chamber where the genocide had been ordered. Holographic displays showed the moment when Chancellor Vexithara announced humanity's death sentence, followed by images of the human colonies burning. Every day, thousands of aliens were brought here to witness this display. They were shown what their species had done and what humanity had become in response. The message was always the same. This is why you serve, and this is why you will never be free. Remember this, Han Yujin told a group of young alien workers who had been brought for their mandatory viewing. Your people cheered when our children died. That is why your children will grow up as our servants. The aliens, a mixture of different species, kept their eyes down and said nothing. They had learned that speaking during these sessions only made the punishments worse. Planetary Governor Ryu, Jisoo managed the day-to-day administration of occupied worlds from her office on former Nexus Prime. Her policies had been implemented across the Empire, creating a unified system that kept aliens useful, while ensuring they could never again threaten humanity. The education programs are showing excellent results, she reported, during the monthly governors' meeting. Second-generation aliens speak human languages fluently and show proper deference to human authority. What about resistance movements? Asked Governor Park from the Rigel sector. Minimal and shrinking. Most aliens understand that cooperation is their only path to survival. Those who don't understand are removed permanently. The human empire operated on simple principles. Loyalty was rewarded with continued life, while defiance meant death. After 10 years, most aliens had learned to choose survival over pride. Dr. Song Hae-young had transitioned from weapons research to biological studies of the surviving alien populations. Her laboratories now work to understand alien genetics and psychology, finding ways to make them more useful servants. We've successfully modified the aquatic species from Kepler 442b, she reported. The new generation shows increased intelligence but reduced aggression. They make excellent technicians and show no desire for independence. What about the crystalline beings? More challenging, but we've made progress. We can now grow them with predetermined loyalty patterns. They're particularly useful for communications and data storage. The science that had once been used to kill aliens was now used to remake them. Genetic engineering and psychological conditioning created perfect servants, beings who looked like their ancestors but thought only of serving humanity. Intelligence Officer Seo Dongmin monitored communications across the Empire, watching for signs of trouble. His networks had grown to encompass every inhabited world, with human agents and loyal aliens reporting on anything suspicious. There was a minor disturbance on Wolf 359C, he reported during the security briefing. A group of aliens attempted to hold a memorial service for their pre-war culture. Response? Asked Commander Baek. Standard procedure. The organizers were executed publicly. The participants were sent for re-education. The incident has been used as a teaching moment for other aliens in the sector. Such disturbances were rare now. Most aliens had accepted their fate and focused on survival rather than resistance. The few who still harbored thoughts of rebellion learned quickly that the human empire had no tolerance for dissent. In the outer territories, human colonies thrived on worlds that had once belonged to aliens. Families who had lost everything in the genocide now had new homes among the stars, surrounded by the wealth and technology of conquered civilizations. Kim Sora Park played in the gardens of New Terra, built on the ruins of what had once been the alien homeworld of Proxima Centauri b. She was 7 years old, the same age as strike team leader Kwon Minsu's daughter had been when she died in the genocide. Her parents had named her after Minsu's lost child, as had thousands of other human families. The names of the genocide victims lived on in a new generation of humans born free among the stars. "Mommy?" Sora asked, watching an alien gardener tending to the flowers. "Why do the aliens always look so sad?" Her mother, a former refugee from the Mars colony, knelt down to explain. "Because they did something very bad to us before you were born. They hurt a lot of human children, so now they have to work for us to make up for it. Will they ever stop being sad? I don't know, sweetheart. But it's not our job to make them happy. It's their job to serve us." Such conversations happened on hundreds of worlds as human children grew up in the new galactic order. To them, alien servitude was simply the natural way of things. They could not imagine a universe where aliens had once ruled and humans had been the outsiders. The memorial to the 10 billion dead occupied an entire moon in the Sol system. Every human name lost in the genocide was carved in black stone, creating a monument visible from space. Pilgrims came from across the empire to pay their respects and remember why the war had been necessary. Emperor Min Seok made his annual pilgrimage on the anniversary of the broadcast. Accompanied by the highest officials of the human empire, they walked among the names in silence, remembering the price that had been paid for their current dominance. Admiral Kim Tae-ho, Min Seok read from one of the memorial walls, finding his father's name among thousands of others. "You told us to remember. You told us to avenge. We have done both." The emperor placed a wreath of earth flowers at the base of the memorial as he did every year. Around him, other officials did the same for their own lost family members. The ritual connected them to their purpose and reminded them why the galaxy's suffering was justified. "Your Majesty," Director No approached with the latest reports. "The new colonial expansion program is ready for your approval. We've identified 17 uninhabited systems suitable for human settlement." "Approved," Min Seok replied without hesitation. "Humanity will continue to grow and expand. We will fill every empty world and claim every unclaimed star." The human empire was no longer just about revenge. It had become about ensuring humanity's permanent dominance over the galaxy. Every new colony, every new ship, every new generation of humans made it more certain that aliens would never again pose a threat. As night fell over the former Nexus Prime, the city's lights created a pattern visible from orbit, the outline of Earth surrounded by a ring of stars. It was the symbol of the human empire, a reminder that Earth's children now owned the galaxy that had tried to destroy them. In the alien quarters of the city, the survivors huddled in their designated housing blocks. They whispered stories of the time before the war, when their species had been free and proud. Admiral Vexathara stood at the viewing port of her personal shuttle, watching the human space station grow larger against the dark backdrop of space. The station looked simple compared to Coalition designs. Its metal walls were plain and gray. No fancy decorations or energy shields that changed colors, just basic human engineering that seemed to work well enough. The Admiral had 6 arms, each one moving independently as she reviewed her datapad. Her purple skin rippled with the tattoos that showed her rank in the Celestial Coalition. She had been chosen for this mission because she was good at understanding new species. In her 200 years of life, she had helped bring 8 different alien races into the Coalition peacefully. Humans were different, though. They had only made contact with alien life 6 months ago. Before that, they thought they were alone in the galaxy. Now they were trying to learn how to live and work with 12 other species who had been traveling between stars for thousands of years. "Admiral, we are ready to dock," said her pilot, a young Morrigan like herself. "The humans are waiting for you." "Good," Vexathara replied. She folded her 6 arms behind her back and walked toward the airlock. "Remember, these humans are still very new to all of this. Be patient with them." The docking process was smooth. Human technology might look simple, but it worked. When the airlock opened, Vexthara saw Captain Lee Doyun waiting for her. He was tall for a human, with black hair and kind eyes. He wore a blue uniform that looked clean and neat. "Welcome to Station Unity, Admiral," Captain Lee said with a small bow. "We are honored to have you here." "Thank you, Captain Lee," Vexthara replied. She had studied human customs and knew they liked politeness. "Your station looks very well built," Captain Lee smiled. That was another human thing. They showed emotion on their faces all the time. "We try our best. Would you like a tour? I can show you how we live and work here." "That would be perfect." They walked through the station's corridors. Everything was clean but basic. The walls were painted white with blue stripes. Humans walked by and many of them stopped to stare at the Admiral. Most had never seen a Morrigan before. Vexthara was used to this. She waved one of her hands at a group of human children who giggled and waved back. "How many people live on this station?" she asked. "About 3,000, Captain Lee replied. "Most are military personnel and their families. We also have scientists, engineers, and diplomats. Everyone who wanted to be part of First Contact." They visited the command center first. Humans sat at control panels monitoring space around the station. Their computers looked primitive compared to Coalition technology, but the humans seemed to know what they were doing. Admiral Vexthara watched them work and made notes on her datapad. Next, they went to the science labs. Human scientists were studying Coalition technology that had been shared with them. They looked excited as they worked, talking quickly to each other about what they were learning. One scientist showed the Admiral a small device they had built. "We took your gravity manipulator design and made it smaller," the scientist explained. "It uses less power this way." Vexthara was surprised. The gravity manipulator had taken Coalition scientists 50 years to perfect. These humans had improved it in just 6 months. Maybe they were not as primitive as they seemed. "Very impressive," she said. Captain Lee looked proud. "Our people are good at solving problems." "We have to be. Earth is not an easy planet to live on." They continued the tour. The Admiral saw the medical bay where human doctors were learning about alien biology. She saw the engineering section, where humans were studying Coalition starship designs. Everywhere she looked, humans were working hard to understand new technology. Finally, Captain Lee brought her to the civilian quarters. This part of the station felt different. The walls had pictures and decorations. She could hear laughter and music coming from different rooms. "This is where our families live," Captain Lee explained. "We believe it is important for children to grow up around their parents even in space." "Your children live here? On a military station?" "Of course. Family is very important to humans. My own son and daughter live here with me and my wife." They walked past a large room with glass walls. Inside, Vexthara could see human children playing. Some were very young, maybe 4 or 5 years old. Others looked to be teenagers. They were running around, laughing, and playing with various toys and games. "That is our recreation center," Captain Lee said. "The children spend a lot of time there when they are not studying." Vexthara watched the children through the glass. They seemed happy and safe. In Coalition space, children usually lived on special planets designed just for them, away from military stations and starships. But these human children lived right alongside the adults, part of everything that happened. "My son Jiho loves playing in there," Captain Lee continued. "He is 8 years old and obsessed with spaceships, always pretending to be a starship captain, fighting alien pirates and exploring new worlds." "Fighting?" Vexthara asked. That seemed strange for such a young child. Captain Lee laughed. "Oh yes, human children love adventure stories. Jiho plays with holographic simulators that show space battles and exploration missions. He thinks it is the most exciting thing in the universe." The Admiral made another note on her datapad. Human children playing war games seemed unusual, but maybe it was just their way of learning about space. "Would you like to meet him?" Captain Lee asked. "I think you might find it interesting to see how human children view space and starships. It might help you understand our culture better." Vexthara considered this. Understanding how a species raised their young was important for cultural studies. Children often showed the true nature of their people without the politeness and careful words that adults used. "Yes," she said. "That would be very educational." Captain Lee smiled again. "Wonderful. I will arrange for you to observe the children tomorrow. I think you will find it quite amusing to see how an 8-year-old human thinks space combat works."